Next question is from Savitri, and she asked how to discern the teacher from the teaching. For instance, when a teacher falls, is the teaching always compromised?
Yeah, interesting question. I don't see quite the relationship between the two because but it is totally about this conversation of form versus force. So people are connected to me with a mix of two. People are connected to me to the person that's presenting the spiritual teaching, the person that is the channel for the force that you're receiving, the person that's the link that's allowing you to use that relationship to take you to a place where you become the source of all relationship. And and that is all part of the unfolding of the opportunity of a guru or a living teacher. The other is the force. And the force is a principle that comes through the teacher. The guru itself is not the teacher's. The teacher is simply the vehicle for the guru. And the more the personality can align with the purpose of the guru force, then the less the personality gets in the way of your access to the force. So there's more patience for the person because there's a greater recognition that the person is the vehicle for the force that's coming to us and empowering us in our own spiritual development. Okay, so that's a paradigm for understanding the nature of the teacher. And most of it has to do with your own natural inclination towards awareness, which will be more towards the force, or towards experience, which is the devotional aspect, which will be more towards the person. Both serve. I do know that truly, that they're both intermingled. One may be more dominant at first, and the other will come up, but they will eventually equalize if you stay with the teacher long enough. That was definitely my experience, that at first it was devotional. After that, I didn't care about the form so much as the force and the example it was holding for me in the course of my life. Now we have a whole another conversation where the teacher had an injury. So I had a major injury that happened about 8 days ago. And I do know that the forces that were at work were consistent with what I am doing in the universal, where eventually there is going to be a physical impact on the teacher as they begin to intervene in the dark forces. In part, I recognize that the pressure of the transition periodically puts a lot of pressure on the people around me, and that the one way that gets relieved is through the form of the teacher. Because in the domain of the dark forces, they always come through the body and the unconscious parts of us. And so therefore, injury or illness is one of the ways to quickly resolve and work through those structures that are still unresolved in us. So this is what happened to me, and what I think is true is that it's miraculous how quickly I've recovered. It was like 2 days in physical hell, and then a rapid healing like I never imagined was possible in the last week. So it's what's going on is the form of the teacher is just as vulnerable as your form. There is something with a sattvic nature that will allow for a teacher or someone who's sattvic to avoid unnecessary injury or accident, because the sattvic gives the intelligence that tends to protects the form. The Mother Prakriti wants to protect all her sattvic forms. So the more we're aligned with sattva, the less likely we are to have injury. But the form of the person carries the personality of the teacher. And so there are still aspects of the personality that may get overtaken by Rajas or Tamas, and therefore the possibility of injury is more possible. Even if they're not the cause, the accident themselves, perhaps it's the driver who then the teacher doesn't recognize as not the right person to be driving you. So it's this quality of sattva that protects the teacher. But when we're doing universal work, which goes beyond the gunas, the teacher inevitably is force beyond the gunas. And that cosmic force has its own way of working out what's needed for its manifestation. But, don't have to worry about it too much until you come to like where I am, where we're at the leading edge and the darkness is pissed off. So the nature of this is to just know the limits Your system grows stronger as the years go forward, and it becomes more and more purified and integral. But if you're linked with the teacher, that's also a great protector for those who are linked to the teacher, especially devotionally, because the field of protection the teacher carries goes to the student. Okay, that's a lot of information, but I felt to answer that question because of just these reasons.